This video tutorial is to teach you how to download, install, and use the Advanced Tech Support Operating System ISO. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to deploy the ATS OS client from the scripts on LogMeIn. Now I'm just going to click on it on my desktop and go ahead and let it download. Whenever it's finished downloading, it's going to be installed on the customer's computer. On Windows 7 it'll be through the BCD, and on Windows XP it'll be through the boot INI. So whenever we're done downloading, to check to see if the just on this video to see if it's installed correctly, we're gonna actually go to the restart the computer and go to the boot up. But for you guys, the only thing you have to do whenever you're on a session to check if the operating system is already installed is you just go to the C drive and look for the sources folder. And the sources folder will have an item inside there called boot.wim. If this item is already on the computer, then the operating system is already installed and doesn't need to be installed again. Now, whenever the ATS OS downloader is done, it's going to pause for a few minutes because at this moment it's extracting files. Whenever you see a black blinking box, which pretty much is the command prompt box, you'll know that the operating system has installed successfully. So right there it is. So at this point we know that the operating system downloaded, extracted, and now installed. So we're going to go ahead and restart the computer at this point so that we can test out the operating system and show you guys how to use it live on this video. Now, I'm using a VirtualBox, so some things will be different. But while the computer is booting up on the customers, you can tell them to just go ahead and hit the down arrow key until they see this screen. When they see this screen, have them highlight the Advanced Tech Support Recovery entry. When they highlight it, go ahead and have them hit Enter. At this point, it's going to bring up a prompt that says Windows is loading files. After it's done loading its files, it's going to boot directly into the ATS OS operating system's desktop. They'll have a nice little desktop background that lets them know that a technician will be on the way to help them soon. Now, as I said, this is on a virtual machine on here, so some of the things may be slightly different. But in theory, everything that I'm explaining to you will still be the same. So now we're getting booted up to the desktop now. As you can see, there's a message on here that's for the customer to allow them to be patient, wait for a technician. Now, whenever you first get inside here, you're going to see a prompt that comes up for the networking of the operating system. This is actually going to go through and locate the proper drivers for the network cards that are installed on the computer. Whenever it does that, it'll disappear. At this point, the network drivers are successfully installed on the computer, and the customer, if they have wired connection, would already be connected immediately. There's no additional steps that need to be done. So at this point, you can actually just go ahead and connect to the customer if they have a wired internet connection. Now, if they don't have a wired internet connection, you have to use the wireless program that I've incorporated inside of the operating system. It's in the lower right hand tray corner. Here you'll see a drop down list in here that's going to display the customer's adapters. It'll have a wireless and a LAN. Now, I'm a virtual machine, so the only thing I have is just my LAN adapter. But I'm going to show you, let's say I selected the wireless adapter for the customer, or the customer selects the wireless adapter. Mind you, you have to talk this through them on the phone if they do have wireless internet. Again, if they do have LAN internet, then it doesn't need to be done. So after you're done selecting the wireless, you're going to go to the Wi-Fi tab. Their SSID or wireless router name will be in here. All they have to do is select it and then go ahead and type in the password with the prompt that comes up. So the screen will look a little different if they have wireless here. It won't say stopped or start, it'll have the list. So after they select and type in the password, they hit apply and OK. After this, we're connected to the wireless. Now I'm just going to go ahead and show you some of the things that are inside of the operating system. This is the remote registry editor that's inside of the operating system. So inside the remote registry editor for the operating system, as you can see, if it's 32-bit, you can just go ahead and do what you would need to do inside the registry. Everything's already loaded up and there for you. It's pretty easy. But if you're on a 64-bit operating system, it takes a few additional steps to get to where you need to be to actually edit registry items. Now, since let's say we're on 64-bit at this point, then we're going to go ahead and just open up the load hive. And if you load the hive, you just put it to the ntuser.dat or whatever you need to load up at that point. And you load it up inside here, you can then edit it the same way as the 32-bit operating system. Now this is Dart, which can be used or gotten to by hitting Control-Alt-D. And it'll bring up the tech tools this is for only 32-bit. Now once you click the Dart Portable button, it will immediately begin to download the Dart Portable for the 32-bit operating system. 64-bit, you don't have to worry about this. Dart's already installed. It's very easy. There's an icon on the desktop. So for 32-bit, then you have to type in a password, which is just ICE Tools 123. It's going to bring up a prompt. At this point, so that Dart knows where it's working in, you select the customer's hard drive, and from there, you scroll down the list and you select their Windows folder and hit OK. It's going to bring up Dart. Now as you see, this is a little bit intimidating. There's a lot of things that's up on the screen right now. But under each link of the program, there's a little bit of a description of what it does. After looking at the screen for a while, it's pretty easy to see what it does. Now, the very first thing that I'm going to select on Dart is the Crash Analyzer. Crash Analyzer is wonderful for blue screens and other unknown crashes. You go inside here, you hit Browse, and then you just point it to the mini dump location in Windows, and it will load the mini dump file and tell you a very vivid description and report of why the computer crashed, what caused it to crash, and if a driver did cause it to crash, which one it was. So at this point, if you have this report, it's very easy to solve a blue screen or other kinds of crashes. Now with the file restore, this is just basically if the customer deletes a file, then we can get it back for them. As you can see, I'm on a virtual machine that I just made. I haven't deleted any files, so nothing's really going to show up in here. Now for the MBR fix, this is basically just if the customer's computer won't boot up, it repairs the MBR for you. Next thing is network configure. Is basically you can set different settings for the IPv4 and the IPv6 for the customer if for some reason they're having troubles with their original operating system. The hotfix uninstall wizard will remove Windows updates and hotfixes that have caused the operating system become corrupt. The SFC scan is it's pretty self-explanatory what that does. Now the file search, it's exactly what it is. It searches for files in the hard drive that you may have a hard time finding. Password remover, very nifty tool, will remove any password from a drop-down list that the customer has on the hard drive. No additional steps are needed. Select the username and the password and you're good to go. Now, if you're a little bit confused as to what tool to use, since you've never used these tools, you can select the not sure which tool to use link. It'll bring you to a location that'll actually ask you questions that's wrong with the customer's computer, and you can select them. And after you select them, then it will actually give you the tool to use automatically. Now that we're done with Dart, we can move on to a few additional things in the operating system. A WinNT setup. It's a program that was incorporated into the operating system to be able to actually install other OSs for the customer on the operating system. So we no longer have to walk the customer through the phone on how to install an operating system. So you can actually get into that by hitting Control-Alt-L. Now, I'll go into that later on a different tutorial, as that's a very vivid program. Now, if you hit Control-Alt-T, this will bring a team viewer. Team viewer is pretty self-explanatory. Everybody's used it in the tech department. On the operating system, it will display an error, but that's only after it exits. So it's not very crucial to anything. It's not going to hurt anything. So you just don't need to worry about it and just exit out of it. So now that we showed you a few of the tools that are on here, which we will show you more in a few minutes, I'm going to show you that if you do need to get the customer connected, you can actually go to the Internet Explorer icon, and it's going to bring up the website automatically, fix22.com. This is so that we have easy access to get the customer connected. From there, you open up Internet Explorer, give them a 6-digit PIN, and they'll automatically be connected to us. An additional way to get the customer connected, not by going through Internet Explorer if it didn't work, is obviously TeamViewer. And another way is by using the calling card, which you can bring up by hitting Control-Alt-H. Now, over the connectivity things to get them connected, there's a few more tools. We have the startup repairs for Windows 7, Vista, and 8 in the System Tools area. Same things you find in the recovery disks. From there, we have our HD task, which we have an MBR fix wizard. It's basically the same thing in Dart, but just in case Dart doesn't work, this is a backup. Now, also inside the start is file task. File task will bring up a file search that's a very quick, extensive file search that you can use to locate viruses very quickly and easily by file extensions, names, or even half names if you can't remember the full thing, or even locations. Computer management is going to bring up everything in the regular operating system you can utilize. Control panel, network, hardware, wizards, mouse, anything that you can think of for a computer to be able to modify it will be inside of computer management in the start menu of the operating system. Now, out of all the hotkey programs I told you, if you have any reason why you can't open them through the hotkey, there is a folder on the desktop named Hotkey Programs. Here, you can access the same things. Now, I just opened up the text file. This shows you or gives you a very good description of how to load up the hives in a registry for 64-bit if you're confused of how to do that at all. Now, this was my very quick and very fast tutorial on how to use the operating system, just to get it out. I'll have a PDF and a better version out later.